But anyways, that's the science behind Asea. So what is it? After 16 years of research, they take sodium chloride and distilled water. When a redox signaling molecule comes out of the mitochondria, the only ingredients in it is sodium chloride and distilled water. That's it. Okay? But they do this heavily patented process. This is important. It's got 31 U.S., international, and global patents. It's a process that can't be duplicated. No other company will ever have the rights to be able to make redox signaling molecules outside the body. That's important. Okay? It splits apart and rearranges the molecules and creates stabilized bioactive redox signaling molecules. Now we have stabilized them outside the body, something science has said was impossible for the last 20 years. So now we're going to just talk a couple stories. I'm going to tell how I got into this. My good friend Danny Robinson told me about it. And I said, I'm not interested. I actually told her I was not interested for a year and 3 months. Finally, I took a look at it and came to a meeting similar to this and realized that this is different. It's not a vitamin, it's not a mineral, it's not an antioxidant. I knew nothing about redox signaling molecules. I went out and did some research on redox signaling and found out what it was, realized that it was real, called her back and said, you know what? I think I need to get on the product. So got on the product. But before I got on the product, I had a friend who was trying to sell me an oxidative stress machine. It's a machine where you blow 2 liters of air through a reagent. It soaks up the aldehydes in your breath. Aldehydes are a byproduct of oxidative stress in your cells. And it gives you a measurement. And that basically tells you what your risk is for heart disease, cancer, anything that's a chronic inflammatory oxidative problem in your system can be measured by that. So he brought the machine over, and I said, I want to do an experiment. I blew in it, and I blew a 551. He told me lower is better, and so right on the bell curve here, that was right between good and great. So it's kind of like right on the verge there. So I said, I want to do an experiment. I'm going to take this Asea. I got this new product. I'm going to take 3 doses of it today. I want you to come back tonight at 6 o'clock. I'm going to redo this test, and let's see how it goes. And he said, well, I got to tell you, the reason you want to sell it to me is I can set up like a big vitamin store in my office and sell a bunch of vitamins. Something I tell patients all the time about supplements, but I just say, go wherever and try and buy the best quality you can. Too much competition in that, so I'm not interested in opening a vitamin store. So anyways, I wasn't really interested in buying a machine, but I really wanted to see if this would have an effect on my oxidative stress. I said, come back tonight. I want to do it again. He came back that night and he said, we're probably not going to notice the difference. There's a margin of error of about 1 to 2%, but to get anything statistically significant in one day is unlikely. So I said, well, let's just try it out. He comes back that night, blew in it again, and I blew a 519, which was actually 6% lower, which is way over statistically being significant on the margin of error of this machine. So he looked at that and went, hey, this is something different. You did that in one day. What are you doing? What's going on? And so I spent the next hour talking about Asea. I didn't know a lot about it at that point, other than I knew what redox signaling molecules. He was really into this because oxidative stress was what this machine was all about. He completely understood it. Came to me the next day, got on the product, and he's telling lots of people about it. Okay. So now all of a sudden I did the research. I did a specific test on myself, so I kind of knew that I knew. And the next thing that happened is I hyperextended my right elbow. My dog was eating a loaf of French bread at 2 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. It's a big Rhodesian Ridgeback, beautiful dog, love him to death, but he wasn't supposed to do that. So I take him by the collar and I'm going to let him outside for the night, and he's digging in. He's about 110 pounds and doesn't want to go outside, knows he's in trouble, and by the time I get to the door, unfortunately I'm frustrated. So I opened the door and I said, I'm going to show this dog who's boss. I'm just going to kind of help him outside. Well, I went like this and gave it a good tug, and my elbow went pop, pop, pop. Okay, hyperextended my elbow. Had some immediate bleeding right on this area, and this medial head of my bicep here was kind of swollen and puffy, and it stuck out right here. I was scared to death because my associate had just left. He moved to Denver 2 weeks ago. I'm in the practice by myself. I have a big day on Monday, and I'm thinking there's no way I can adjust by hand. It's a very physical manual job. Anyway, so first thing I did is I grabbed a bottle of Asea and a spray bottle, and I sprayed it on my elbow and grabbed some ice, put some ice on there, went to bed, got up at 6 o'clock, 4 hours later, went to my office, got my cold laser, and if you don't know anything about cold laser, I just want to say that I've been to several laser seminars and they tell me all the effects of laser, and I understand what it does, but they can never explain to me why. Now that I understand redox signaling molecules, I understand why cold laser works. And that's another topic, but if anyone's interested, I'd love to explain to you why cold laser works. Anyways, I cold lasered it. I sprayed the Asea, cold lasered right on top of that. And then I came back home. We had a bunch of people over for dinner. I had my cousin who's a chiropractor over for dinner. He did some soft tissue work on it. Anyways, when I woke up the next morning, I had about 75% range of motion. I had no strength in pronation. I could push straight, but if there was any kind of lateral movement like this, I just couldn't do it. You know, it was just sharp pain, and it just stopped. And you know, anyone who knows soft tissue injuries, that's what we work with all the time as a chiropractor. They get, especially when they're swelling and bleeding like that immediately, it gets worse for the first 3 days. You're more stiff, you're more sore for 3 days. This happened Saturday night. Sunday morning, I had 75% range of motion. I thought there's no way. By the time I got done that night, though, I'm really working with it. I had about 80% range of motion. I had a little strength here, and I thought, you know, maybe there's a chance, whatever. I woke up the next morning, and actually I got up in the middle of the night and sprayed it several times. Got up Monday morning to go to work, and I had full range of motion in this joint. I had strength and pronation, and I could do this. I thought, you know, it was now at that point it was swollen, black and blue and green down here, and a little bit up into my bicep there. And I thought, you know, I'm going to go pick up that elbow support, and if I can adjust, great. If I can't, I'll just have maybe cancel the day, and that'll do that. So I picked up an elbow support at Walgreens, put it on, and then I realized that I forgot to wear a long sleeve shirt. We had a busy day, and I know if I'm wearing this big elbow brace, everyone's going to ask me about it. I'm going to be behind all day. It's just going to be a pain. So I said to Debbie, I'm going to go and try and adjust this first patient without a brace. If I can adjust him, great. If I can't, we're going to have to cancel the day. Went in, adjusted this patient, and to make a long story short, it was a Monday. I saw 75 patients that day. I was the only doctor there, and I know I couldn't have done that without Asea. So now I knew that I knew. I had 2 personal experiences where, hey, this stuff is different. Something's happened. So now I started using it on my patients. First patient I put it on, she's a great lady. I've seen her more than I've seen any patient in my practice. I've seen her 3 times a week for 14 years, which is definitely the exception to the rule. She's in her late 50s. She is very self-conscious about the way she looks. She's fit. She's in good shape, but she has chronic degenerative arthritis. She's got several repetitive stress syndromes, and she sees a rheumatologist who has prescribed Remicade injections. Right now she's on the maximum dose. She gets them every 4 weeks. It's a 2-hour infusion process, and every time she has that done, I believe it costs her insurance company something about $2,500. It's for chronic pain. The problem is, the last 2 years, her hands have been going downhill. Like I said, she's fit, she's in good shape, but her fingers were swollen up like sausages. She would come in and say, I can do something about my hands. I can barely have range of motion here. She was actually getting sores on the knuckles because they were so swollen, so chronically swollen. And we talked about it, and I said, you know, this is something you got to talk to your medical doctor about. That Remicade, if that's doing it to your hands, what's it doing to the rest of your body? You know, she's got to do something. And she's got to a rheumatologist, and he's just basically said, well, we can take out the Remicade if you want, but you know, you're going to be in such chronic, debilitating pain. I'm not sure the quality of life is going to be worth it, but it's up to you. So she's been suffering this for a long time. When I heard about this, I said, you know what? Let's give this a try. I said, I want you to get on Asea. She said, it's $150 a month. I can't afford it. So I said, you know what? I sprayed this stuff on my elbow. I'm going to give it a try with you. When you come in, I see you 3 times a week. I'm just going to take a spray bottle, fully expecting nothing to happen. Let's just spray your hands when I see you every time. Well, long story short, in 2 weeks, she came in with no swelling in her hands whatsoever, full range of motion back in her joints, and those sores had all healed up and gone away. To me, that was a miracle. And now I started to see how powerful what we have really is. That blew me away. She's now bought a spray bottle finally, and she's spraying a bunch of other things, but she's still not taking it. So we're working on that. But the next patient I put on it is a 57-year-old guy who, great guy. He's a welder. He spends his day with a hood on, welding, and using a hand grinder all day. Very physical job. He came in for some low back pain several months ago. We basically have him fixed up. We're down to seeing him once a week. His passion is softball, like my passion is golf. We joke about that all the time. And he came in on a Wednesday and said, hey, I'm scared about this weekend. I said, you're scared? What's going on? He said, softball starts. I said, come on, I thought you'd be excited. He goes, well, you know, I'm just not as young as I used to be. And every year, it's tougher to get started playing softball. Usually I have 1 or 2 games, and I go and I take in a leave before the first game, And then I'm taking aspirin, Tylenol, ibuprofen, all that, and hopefully I can recover enough, to play the next day, or I'll take it for 4 or 5 days and ready to go. The problem is we start this season with a tournament. We're going to Wenatchee. We have a doubleheader on Friday and a doubleheader on Saturday, and I really don't think I'm going to be able to play all 4 games. But what I'm really scared about is the amount of medication I'm going to take, because I want to play all 4 games, and I'm afraid that I may be doing some serious damage. So I said, you know what? I want you to try something. I want you to just take this bottle. You're going to be my guinea pig. I want you to start taking it right now, 2 ounces tonight, 2 ounces in the morning. This will last you 8 days, so take it right now, and then you have an idea. You've played softball forever. You have an idea of how you think you're going to feel. I want you to come back next Wednesday and tell me, were you better, were you worse, were you the same? Maybe you took less medication, maybe you had to take more. I don't know. I just want to know your objective opinion. He said, great, I'll do that. So he takes off, comes back the next Wednesday, comes in the office, and comes to me, he's kind of looking down like this, shaking his head, and I said, okay, you got to tell me, man, what happened? He goes, I can't explain it. He goes, I played all 4 games, and I haven't taken any medication all weekend. I wasn't sore when I got up Saturday morning. I wasn't sore when I got up Sunday morning. He goes, I don't understand it. He goes, not only that, I play shortstop, and I got hit in the hand here, and it really hurt. Well, in the same game, he got hit again in the exact same spot, and he said, when I got hit that second time, I screamed like a girl. Okay, it hurt so bad. He turned his hand over. He had a big contusion back here where he broken a blood vessel, and it was all swollen and black and blue back here. And he said, the strange thing is when I got hit that second time, I thought, there's no way I can bat. There's no way I'm going to be able to throw, because this is going to swell up. He goes, all I did is I went off, after the end of the inning there, I went off, I put my hand in the ice, and I said, baby, bring me my bottle. And she brought an Asea, poured a capful, and he poured it on there and started rubbing it in, okay? He goes, it never swelled up. I was able to throw the whole time. I was able to bat the whole time. I never missed an inning. I never missed an at-bat. And he goes, I couldn't believe it. So, long story short, he's on. Now I had the first 2 patients I used on it, just blew me away. The story that really made me take a look at this, though, is the story of a guy named Chris who was here at the first meeting that I did, and that I came to, and he had a couple different problems. First one was that he was in the Gulf